What's up, Warriors fans, and welcome back to Warriors Latest. As always, I am your host, Max Arizin. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you enjoy the show today, as I do post new Warriors videos daily, and it does help out the channel as well as myself, so I really do appreciate it. Now, watching the game last night, it was a good win. I like that the Warriors are starting off 2-0. They were able to win both their opener as well as their home opener, and I think that's a good sign for things moving forward. But I did have some areas of concern. Specifically, yes, Steph scored 32, but the team gave up 50 to the likes of Aaron Gordon, and then on top of that, Joker has a semi-bad game, but still gets 21. And for me, this is still something that's going to be a problem long term. I'm looking at this box score, and it's pretty much just all Steph. Like there's a little contributions from Jimmy, there's a little contributions from Draymond, Kuminga, Pods, but it's mostly just Steph. And that's concerning because if they find a way to lock down Steph, do we know if Jimmy can get it going? Do we know if Kuminga can get it going? I'm not entirely convinced. And looking at the guys off the bench, yeah, Buddy had 11, Al Horford had 13, but they still had problems with the likes of Joker. And I'm looking at the Nuggets box score. They had three guys in that had at least 20 points with Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, as well as Joker. And we can't have that if we're going to win an NBA title, especially if we're going to have to go through the Nuggets to win that title. Yes, we won this game, but this was also an overtime thriller, especially after that double overtime thriller we had to watch before the game started with Oklahoma City in their finals rematch against the Indiana Pacers. But on the good news of that, though, Oklahoma City having to play back-to-back double overtime games makes me wonder, are they good enough to repeat? And so far, I don't think they are. Because if you have to play back-to-back double overtime games to win your first two games, it means teams are prepared for you. And if teams are prepared for you, you're going to have to make adjustments throughout the season to get better and find different ways to win. Because they haven't been able to close out either of their first two games. Yes, they were versus two great playoff teams from last year, but still, you got to just come out, hit the ground running, and just beat the pants off these teams. You're the defending NBA champions, and out of all the teams, you have the brightest future. And if you're playing two double overtime games back to back, maybe the future isn't that bright. But back to the Warriors. Now, I did like how they kind of matched up well in the beginning versus the likes of Joker, but Joker was still able to play big and get the job done. Now, the Warriors were able to use some of their physicality to force Joker not to make as many shots, but they had no answer for Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon did it from everywhere. He was 10 for 11 from 3. That's concerning. He was 17 for 21 total in field goals. He grabbed 8 boards and only had 1 foul. So you could knock this off to a hot night, but you have to take note of it. At the end of the day, at least the Warriors got the win. They're off to 2-0 heading into play the Trailblazers tonight, which I hope should be an easy win. I mean, the Blazers, right now they are really going through the ringer, and I'll talk about that later, but things are not looking bright for that team, and I get the feeling by the deadline, because of everything that's going on with them, they're going to do a complete roster overhaul, because like you have new ownership in after what just happened. You're going to clear out the coaching staff by the end of the season, and you just want to start over, and I'm sure Tom Dundon wants to do the same. So I expect an easy win tonight versus the Blazers. We start 3-0. We keep that momentum going into Monday's game when we face, who do we play? We play the Grizzlies. Now, that's going to be a bit of a bigger test because they do have Zach Edey. Now, looking at the injury report, yeah, Zach Edey will be playing in that game. So this is another This is this is the third straight game where the Warriors are playing a 7+ footer with only Quentin Post as their only 7-footer. And Quentin Post only played 4 minutes last night. Still concerning. So I just don't like that. But turning to a brighter note, I did see a reel earlier about a bet that was placed between Jimmy and Draymond. It wasn't a serious bet, but it was a fun bet. And that bet was Jimmy betting Draymond that he can hit free throws at a higher percentage than Steph Curry. And let's be honest, this is just a bet he's going to lose. But I love the motivation of this bet. This is really putting some extra pressure on himself to be as best as he can from the line this season. Now, looking at his numbers so far through the first 2 games, I want to see this. Because this is going to be a tough one. And looking at these numbers, I could definitely see Steph winning this by a mile. However, if Jimmy learns to get to the line frequently and learns to attack, like really just put the ball in the bucket from the line. All right, last night he was 7 for 8. Guess what? Steph was 8 for 8. Now that's tough. That is tough. Now, Steph's overall percentage right now, let's see. Regular season, free throws. Yeah, he's 100% for the regular season. So Jimmy's got his work cut out for him. Let's see where Jimmy is. Jimmy is at 95% for the season. So at least you never know. It might be close. And it might be an entertaining thing to keep in mind during the season. And just keep following along for your own personal entertainment. Because if Jimmy finds a way to beat Steph at the free throw line, that in and of itself is a championship win, even before the Warriors win the NBA championship this season. So that would be hilarious. And I really wonder what the bet is for. I have a feeling it's probably for dinner, a nice dinner or something like that. I doubt any money is going to be exchanged, especially with what's going on. And I get the feeling that, hey, maybe they'll go to a really nice steak restaurant over in the Marina District of the Bay Area. And that would be hilarious. Jimmy walks in with a championship belt saying, "I am the free throw champion." And everybody just stands up giving him their applause. It's like, "I beat Steph." It's like, your teammates. "Yeah, but I had a higher free throw percentage." It's like, all right, that's impressive. That's impressive. Golf clap, golf clap. So I do love to see this competition continue throughout the season, but I hope it doesn't get any crazier in terms of betting except for that. Because after what happened yesterday, and I know you saw it and I saw it, red flares were shot up everywhere because the FBI, Cal Patesh, arrests Damon Jones, Terry Rozier, and Chauncey Billups for illegal betting schemes. Now, I looked all throughout this information for everything that was out, and this looks as bad as the Tim Donaghy scandal. And we all know the Tim Donaghy scandal was it's giving insider information, stuff like that. This was worse. They were giving Damon Jones was giving inside information about LeBron. Terry Rozier was manipulating prop bets. And Chauncey Billups was being used to attract dummies to illegal poker games, allegedly, to really take all their money. And this is bad because this is an entire ring, apparently. And I get the feeling this is going to be the tip of the iceberg because they got Jonte Porter first. I think that started things. And then they got Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert obviously snitched, in my opinion, because he gets taken to jail. He's singing like a canary. So he snitched. They did more research and then found out, look, the Rozier thing is legit. The Billups thing is legit. The Damon Jones thing is legit. But what makes this even worse is the fact that the NBA looked into Terry Rozier and cleared him of any wrongdoings while the FBI investigation was ongoing. Now, that makes the NBA's investigation look completely incompetent and is an overall bad look for the league. So it makes me wonder, with Terry Rozier making the league look so bad, it also takes away from what's going on with the with the whole aspiration deal and the Kawhi Leonard circumventing the cap. And it makes me wonder how Silver is going to handle this once all the information is going to come to light. Now, he hasn't been heavy-handed with his punishments so far, outside of what Donald Sterling did with his racial epithets on that videotape. What was it, 11 years ago, and then he was banned from the league. That was his first little thing, but since then, he's been a bit light, like slaps on the wrist, suspensions, and nothing too crazy. But with this is affecting the bottom line, and this is serious illegal stuff. Like when we had Stern as the commissioner, he came down hard on everybody, and I think this is going to be a defining moment for Silver's tenure as the NBA commissioner. He's been very focused on growing the league, but I think that's taken a little bit away from his discipline. Now, he's done good so far with catching Jonte Porter, banning him from the league. But this is much bigger than what Jonte Porter did. This is a Hall of Fame NBA coach, like a Hall of Fame player who became a coach, a solid player who's on a big contract, as well as a former player who's been giving inside information. And who else has been giving it inside information? This might, like I said, this might be the tip of the iceberg. I mean, does anybody with the Warriors been giving inside information? Like, have the younger guys with the Warriors been giving inside information? Because they're not going to, they're not going to make the kind of money that, say, Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy are going to make. I mean, it's all very concerning, and it has me a little worried because this web can get big very quickly. And just from seeing it through friends, gambling is a very serious addiction. And with athletes, they say it's another level of their competition. I was looking last night at a couple reels. One of the things they were talking, or I believe it was Get Up or it was ESPN. They were talking to that former mob guy influencer who worked with both the MLB and the NBA with regards to getting into illegal gambling rings in the 90s. And he goes back and talks about Michael Jordan in The Last Dance not having a gambling problem. And Michael Jordan goes, I don't have a gambling problem, I have a competition problem. And from what he said, gambling increases the level of competition in their lives, and it's something they really need. It keeps them going. It is their darkness, so to say, if you've ever read Tim Grover's book, Relentless, talking about the darkness that comes along with perfecting your craft at a certain level, to get to a certain level. So I am very concerned about how big this can get, because this is definitely going to be bigger than Tim Donaghy and what he did back in 2007, because there's such a bigger web of players involved, and there's such easier access to sports books and sports betting apps. I think this, at the very least, should end any partnership the NBA and its affiliates have with sports books. They got to stay out of the league, because when the NBA got in bed with the likes of FanDuel, Fanatics Bets, ESPN Bets, Caesars Sports Books, all those sports books, they were getting in bed with the devil. And when you get in bed with the devil, you're going to get burned eventually. Because let us not forget, the reason that the commissioner's position was established in professional sports was because of a gambling scandal. And specifically, I'm talking about the 1919 Black Sox scandal, where they allegedly threw the World Series. And then the year after that, the commissioner's position was established in Major League Baseball, and every subsequent league had a commissioner's position, whether it be the NFL, the NBA with Maurice Parloff, and then going on from there. That was established to prevent situations like this. And the fact that this was happening under Silver's nose, this is a big problem. And it needs to be addressed with a hammer. Tear it all down, just get rid of it, wipe your hands of it. Granted, this may create some issues with ownership, such as Tim Ferretta, who is the owner of the Golden Nugget Casinos chains. So it's going to be it's going to be a very long and arduous process. And I look forward to following it more as things play out. But the bottom line is the NBA's got to get out of gambling, but the Dubs are also hot. The question is, for how long? Like I said before, They have several games with a number of 7-footers that they have to play, and I don't know how they're going to, like, the game plan around those 7-footers. Are they going to put Quentin Post in a little more? Are they going to just get Al Horford and Draymond Green getting real physical with them and wear them down? I don't know, but I look forward to watching it as the Warriors continue their winning streak tonight versus the Blazers, and then Monday versus the Grizzlies and Zach Edey and Ja Morant. So I'm excited. So far, so good. Let's keep it going. Let's keep them hot, but I'm not sure, but let's keep them hot. Now, that's all we have today for Warriors Latest. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you enjoyed the show today, because it really does help out the channel as well as myself. And if you have any thoughts on the outcome of the NBA gambling scandal, maybe even Jimmy's bet, or predictions for tonight's game against the Trailblazers, feel free to comment below, as I love hearing your thoughts. And as always, go Dubs.